back with more Angel. This is episode 22 of season 2, season finale. Can't believe we're actually here. It is kind of madness how quickly this season's gone for me. In the blink of an eye, it feels like we're going to be done with the show. It's crazy. There's only going to be 3 seasons left after this. We're going to reach the halfway point of the series next season, which is nuts. But yeah, it's been a hell of a season, and I can't wait to talk about it in the season 2 review when we get there. But first, we need to get through this finale, which I'm very excited for, potentially nervous for, given the end of the last one, with Lorne having his head a bit removed. If he's actually dead, I will be pissed. I'm hoping that's not the case. I don't know how that couldn't be the case, but you know what? It could be like a Dorian situation from Doctor Who, maybe. I don't know. Just holding out hope, because that guy. But yeah, everyone's in a bit of a pickle right now. Angel's not in a very good way. Wesley and Gunn are still being held captive. Also being threatened with decapitation, so that's not ideal. It's a bit of a theme. Not the best theme, but there we are. And yeah, Cordelia is potentially running into a bit of trouble as well, under the threat of those hooded bastards is the best expression I could use to describe them. But yeah, I'm very, very excited as to what they're going to do to wrap up this season with this like mini arc. It kind of feels like so separate from the rest of the season, this like little arc. It's kind of crazy, odd, but I'm also really, really loving it. So I'm excited to see how they're going to tie things up here, potentially set up future seasons. We have to wait and see. I'm very excited to try and see where they're going to go with this. I really have no predictions as to what's going to happen. I think, they're all going to get back to the right place, I assume. Are they all going to get back? I don't know. I imagine so, because I don't think they do a thing where they all, well, like most of them get back and some are still stuck there, and season 3 will just be like repeating the story. We have to go back and get them again. I don't think they'll do that. I think they will get back somehow, but there might be something along the way. And the idea of like the Wolfram and Hart like book thing was really interesting. I wonder if they're going to explore that a bit more, or we're going to see more of them. I don't know. I'm very, very excited to see how they're going to end season 2 and yeah, set up the future. I'm very excited, so let's get into it.
I don't like it here anymore.
Same.
I just want to go home.
Oh, honey. Oh! I'm right there with you.
Oh, okay, thank fuck. If he's a head and he can talk, he can still sing. We're good.
That's good. You have to breathe sometime. Good Lord, shut up, woman! Hands to cover my ears here, you know? You cut off our heads, we just keep on a ticking until you mutilate our bodies. Obviously, they haven't gotten to my body yet. Probably a backlog in the mutilation
Oh.
She appeared grievously distressed, Master.
Good. We will add more heads
Good.
to the collection that she might. He can only be killed by fire, decapitation, or a wooden spear through the heart. Perhaps all 3.
It's decapitation thing again.
Hunt him down.
These guys. Oh no.
Please clean that up.
Whoa.
And if one of thy slaves offend thee, thou shalt smite him down.
Should have quit while he was...
I got a plan.
Oh, thank God, what is it? One.
We die horribly and painfully, you go to hell, and I spend eternity in the arms of baby Jesus.
I hope they wear those for the rest of the episode. Meanwhile, Angel's suffering. That's new.
Sometimes it just burbles up inside you and you have to bellow a little. Do it all the time. No one's around to hear.
So does Cordelia.
You must cut my tongue from my worthless skull.
No cutting. What is it with you people and mutilation?
That's what I've been saying.
Take off your clothes.
Yeah.
These are the words we use to open up the portals.
They're not words. They're consonant representations of a mathematical transfiguration formula.
Well, obviously.
The priests have all the power here.
Oh, shitting hell.
Missed the heart, did I?
Yes!
You're right. We are on the same side. Release them.
Oh, good.
We nearly cut your heads off.
You're just doing your job.
You're free to go.
They want to skirmish today, but they're no match for the Covenant. I don't want to leave them to get themselves killed. I do that enough.
Oh. Oh.
You heal fast,
One of the pluses of being a beast.
but you're not. When you were fighting this time, you didn't change.
I was afraid.
You are going to need a new shirt, though. Maybe you should stop wearing white shirts.
If I did,
Oh, shut
I
up.
wear that on your bones.
what can you tell me about the princess?
The filthy cow bitch who brought you into our world?
How dare
I'll do
you?
it again. I'll remove your face.
Oh, that's right.
Take it with me.
I'm sorry.
This son of a bitch.
Turn into that beast.
Oh! That's right. Oh no.
I stole his body and put his strange garment on these parts to fool them.
You did all this for me?
Hey!
That's not terrible. That's wonderful.
You're alright, gruesome.
Feels like somebody
shit.
works out. Hi, and thank you from the bottom of my neck on down. Where's the rest of me?
This kind of battle can only be won through guerrilla warfare.
They might not have gorillas here.
Hail to our new leader!
Why do people keep putting me in charge of things?
I have no idea.
Because you're capable, Wesley. Kinda shipping it.
I don't actually know how to get there.
Oh, I can show you. What burden is that again?
When you receive me, on the night we are wed,
Receive.
it is foretold in the ancient prophecies that one will come who is cursed with the visions.
I think she will.
With the Gruselot.
You can't take my visions. I need them. I use them to help my friends fight evil back home. They're a part of who I am now. They're an honor. And you know, the visions,
An
they
honor.
only last for like a...
Oh dear. An honor from Doyle. Oh dear. Angel's gonna kill you.
No.
I wouldn't split my crew up that much if I was leading this charge.
I'm leading this charge. Tell me about the killing device.
It sends a signal to the collar on every slave on the land.
Shame for what I did to you.
It's kind of a crazy place here.
It
The
is.
sooner we all get out, the better.
I think he was more hurt when he got fired.
Help us with that.
It's no Grubgrain and Callberry breakfast, all right.
She's been here a while. It was.
Yeah.
That's it? It's only of my virtues. It's the love.
I like that it didn't make Fred jump. Oh, that was a cool transition. Do they have 2 moons here?
Torch.
I'll come back.
I love their belief in him.
You really think he'll come back?
I need him to think it.
Never mind.
Challenge the Gruselot to mortal combat. Come out and face me, you spineless coward!
Ugh. Why'd you add that coward thing? That's really gonna piss him off.
She's hiding behind
What's going on?
things.
Who's yelling?
He will ravage, and he will defile her. He will use her for his pleasure.
Like you're gonna do after Matt.
And again,
You will die!
He's already dead. Oh boy. Well, that went well. Damn. Wesley's good with swords, Jesus. Although gun seems to be pretty good.
You have to stop it.
This is all your fault.
Oh boy. So.
And you and your filthy cow princess can go.
Oh, nice.
We're not gonna do this. We're gonna find another way.
Good.
Stop. I love him. I love him.
You love me?
Not you, dumbass. Him. I love him.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, he seemed a bit disappointed.
Lay down your weapons.
Oh, that must have been a special, like, day and a half that they knew him for. Ah, good.
The runt of my loins came back after raining such misery on our lives and managed to shame us even further.
All right then. We'll just be.
We're supposed to do our labor.
You know where I belong? L.A. You know why? Nobody belongs there. It's the perfect place for guys like us. It's kind of beautiful, ain't it? I'm very moved, if I do say so myself. Please do. You know, I feel a song coming on. Yeah, I thought you might. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
Those are sacred books, which you should have as a small memento.
The sacred Jedi texts.
You're looking at social confusion, economic depression, and probably some riots. Good luck.
You'll do fine.
Do you have to go, Majesty?
Yep, bye.
I want to.
Well. Fred just watching. Time to change into something that doesn't make that much noise. Ah! Look out for the bar! No, the bar!
There's no place like. Willow?
What's...
Oh no, Buffy.
It's Buffy.
Oh, my heart just sank, like, so fucking much. I completely... Oh. Okay, man, that ending was a gut punch. I wasn't expecting that, but it didn't even click that, of course, they'd have to tell Angel. Oh. I wonder if that'll carry on to next season. Like, how Angel's gonna deal with that. Oh, God, I feel sad now. I can't even enjoy Willow turning up. That's the saddest thing of all. Oh. Man, okay. That was quite the tonal shift there. God. But it makes sense. I love that Willow did go to tell Angel, you know. It's not like she just like tried to call him or anything. She actually went all the way there, which is actually a very nice gesture. Yeah, that could have been a really unfortunate after, like, message to leave on the answering machine, you know? But yeah, season 2's done. That's nuts. If I'm being honest, I think that was just okay for me in that finale. Out of like this little arc on Pylia, I do think this was my least favourite of the episodes, but it was still really, really solid. And the stuff they did with like Angel as a character, and some of the Wesleyan Gunn stuff I really liked as well. I think it's more the stuff with the Grusalag, I guess. I just didn't really connect with him, I suppose. And he was quite a big part of the finale, and this whole story arc, really. I get the connection between Cordelia and him, but I didn't really buy the whole I love him thing. I don't know. That felt a bit rushed to me. But I don't know if... I feel like there's more to Cordelia than just falling for someone based on looks like right away. You know? Maybe they did like have a real bond when he talked to her about his story and stuff, but all that came down to was, oh, I'm going to miss your eyes. I was like, well, what else are you going to miss if you love the guy? I guess I just didn't really buy into that as much, but that might just be me. It probably is just me. But yeah, that aspect of it I wasn't like as into. But it was nice to see Cordelia kind of get that moment at the end where everyone was bowing to her, and you know, she deserves to be treated like a princess, so that was nice. But it was definitely more the character moments in this episode, I think, that really did shine, as opposed to a lot of the plot. I really liked the Angel stuff and the Fred stuff with those two. Wasn't quite as into, obviously, the Grusalag or whatever it was, and is it Silas, whatever the villain's name was. You know, I didn't find him as like a very interesting villain, so I didn't really connect with that side of things either. And the Wesley and Gunn stuff, the plot of it I wasn't that into, but I did really like the character moments that they were getting with them. So yeah, overall a pretty solid finale and a solid way to cap off the season, and I'm very glad that Lorne's fine, alive. I'd have been so disappointed if that was it for him. So I'm glad he seems to still be like a character that can stick around, and maybe even Fred is going to join them as well, which I'd really, really like, because I loved Fred. She has some really funny moments. I really like Amy Acker anyway. I think she's a standout performer in Dollhouse, for example. And when she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's one of my favourite guest performances. So yeah, it's really cool to see her show up in Angel. I had no idea that she was going to show up. I feel like we might see her again as well, which would be really cool. I get the same kind of feeling with her and Lorne, that, you know, they're characters who could keep like popping up every now and again. So that'd be really, really cool if that's the case, and I do hope we see those two again. I liked the resolution, particularly with Lorne returning home, and he was like, I belong in LA because no one belongs in LA. And that's kind of how Angel feels as well. And that connection between those two, I really, really liked how they kind of wrapped up that kind of little arc for Lorne returning home in that way. That, I thought, worked really, really well. And I'm glad that, yeah, Lorne's still alive because he's really funny and charismatic. And that whole kind of little plot with his head being detached, having to sneak that back. That did provide quite a few funny little moments as well. So I liked all of that. And yeah, Angel kind of battling this darkness again that was inside of him was very, very interesting. Fearing that he would succumb to that. It's interesting that Wesley actually kind of pretended that he thought Angel was going to come back, and he was like, I just need him to believe it. Maybe he meant that as in he does believe that Angel could come back, but he needed to instill that same confidence in Angel himself to come back, so he did. Or he just didn't think Angel was going to come back from transforming into the demon again. So that's kind of an interesting debate. I don't know how people might feel about that. But yeah, that side of things, and Angel being afraid of getting people too close to that darkness, which is why he fired them in the first place, tying that back into like probably the biggest plot point of this season, probably, was Angel's whole like darkness thing. So that was very, very interesting how they kind of repeated a similar kind of story beat in terms of that, but in a much bigger way, with like Pylia enhancing it and him becoming like the pure like demon side of him, which was very, very interesting. I liked that a lot. And it also kind of reminded me of Doyle, kind of trying to find the balance with his demon half and try not to be ashamed of it. So there's a similar kind of thing there, and I like that they kind of did that. I'm sure that's a story that if Doyle had stayed on the show, they would have done with him, continue to explore that a lot more. But it's cool that they kind of found a way to do that with Angel as well in this. I thought that was very clever. So everything with that, and him kind of being self-conscious about being the demon and how his friends would see him, that was all really, really cool. Loved everything with that. You know, these kind of couple of episodes in Pylia showed so many different sides to Angel that I really, really loved. I always like it when we see different sides to him in that way, and they were still feeling like in keeping with his character. Like the moment where Cordelia's like, I love him, and then Angel was like, me? That was really, really funny, and he was trying to justify in his head then. He's like, well, surely she loves me, you know, we're really good friends. That was really funny. So I liked all of that, and I absolutely adored Fred. I think she had some really funny moments and funny lines, and I'm glad they kind of brought her back, and how they resolved the whole Pylia arc with them kind of freeing slavery, stuff like that. But I did like a little bit they did with Gunn. Maybe it could have been a little less on the nose, of being like, oh, Gunn, you should give this speech. Like, having to say that. He could have just started talking and saying that stuff. I don't think they need to say, Gunn, you should do this speech. So that was like, I don't know, it felt a bit off to point out why Gunn should give the speech. You know, I feel like he should have just given it. But that's another tiny little thing. But I did like that they used that to kind of point out that just because like Cordelia's been like, oh, slavery's over, blah blah blah, the fight's still going to go on, and it's not like it's just perfect now. The world's perfect. You know, no one's going to still try and do slavery or whatever. I like how they kind of spoke to real world events through what's happening in Pailia. I thought that was nicely done. And yeah, it was nice that Gunn was the one who kind of gave that speech and everything, because obviously of everything he's been through, he's probably been like the most repressed in real life, because obviously he's black. So I feel like they didn't need to be like, you know, we didn't need the white female character who had been made a queen to say, ah, yes, Gunn, you can talk now. That felt a bit off to me, but that's a tiny little thing. And yeah, the Gruselog, I guess, it was kind of an interesting idea, but I think it needed more episodes to kind of flesh out that character, so I just didn't really get invested in him. But I can see why people might have done. They might have found a bit of charm to him in the same way I kind of was charmed by Fred. I feel like that was a bit more successful than the Gruselog thing. But, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that was interesting. And one thing I also really liked was them harking back to Wesley kind of getting in these positions of power. First he was a Watcher, obviously, and then he got made the lead of Ancient Investigations, then he was made the lead of this like other group of people. And the scene when him and Gunn were talking about like strategies and plans to like storm the castle, whatever, and Wesley was like, if you try and save everyone, you'll get them all killed. And he did kind of end up sending like those first two guys basically to their deaths, and you could see that on his face. And yeah, Gunn's look on his face when Wesley first said that, it's kind of like, oh god. So obviously that's going to relate to him losing his friend recently. And I kind of wish they had explored that a bit more, that trauma that Gunn had gone through. Maybe they'll do that next season, explore the aftermath of that a bit more. Because it was kind of like, oh, I've lost my friend, I'm not going to go with you to save Cordelia. Oh wait, no, I am. Let's move on, forget about that. I wish they kind of spent a bit more time talking about like Gunn's state of mind and exploring that a bit more. So hopefully we'll get a bit more of that maybe next season. So yeah, I do feel like they still need to improve on how they use Gunn, because J. August Richards is fantastic. And Gunn does have some really great moments, really great lines. I did like the line when they're about to be beheaded and he was like, oh, you're going to hell and I'll be cradled in the arms of baby Jesus or something. That was really funny. But yeah, hopefully they can give Gunn some more like meatier stuff to do next season, because a lot of the episodes this season did have Gunn in like one or two scenes, and then they found an excuse to not have him be around, which I think is pretty dodgy, honestly. But again, these are all kind of things I can talk about in more detail in my review when I get to that. But yeah, overall, I think it was a solid finale. Not one of my favourites, I'll admit, but that's okay. It was still a really, really solid ending, and I think it did set up some interesting things for next season, potentially. Because obviously Wolfram and Hart are out there. That's another thing I found kind of odd, that we didn't get more of Wolfram and Hart, and the Darla thing really ended quite early this season, and then Lindsay went, and I was like, oh well, Lila's still around, she can still be a threat for the rest of the season, but they just didn't revisit it. They went in a different direction with this kind of arc, which is fine. I just felt maybe we could have had like another teaser scene of Wolfram and Hart, because we had like the Wolfram and Hart books in the last episode. Never really went back to that. I don't know if that's just, maybe it was a coincidence, maybe that's going to be a thing that's explained in future, maybe it was just like a mystery that, I don't know, they don't address. I'm not sure. That just felt a bit weird to me, that such a big part of this season was just kind of forgotten about in the last couple of episodes. I know in like episode 20, I think it was, we did have those lawyers show up very briefly, but that was kind of it. It's not like we even saw Lila or anything. So that felt a bit strange to me. But again, I kind of like that it almost changed it up, and this isn't how, when you start the season, this isn't how you would have expected it to end, you know? This isn't where you think the plot would have gone. So I kind of like that, and that kind of unpredictability in some ways. But yeah, I think it was just because I didn't quite connect to some of the major storylines in the episode. Overall, it was just ended up being like a fun little thing. But the most powerful moment for me was the gut punch at the end, seeing Willow and obviously telling Angel what had happened to Buffy, which is kind of devastating. I'm glad we didn't have to see a lot of that reaction, because I think that would have been like heartbreaking. So yeah, I did enjoy that kind of quick change of tone as soon as you just see Willow sat there. And yeah, overall solid finale to a really, really great season. Obviously I can talk a lot more about themes and character arcs and stuff and things I may have missed throughout all my reactions in the review when I get to that. But I don't think it's going to be much of a spoiler to say I much preferred Season 2 to Season 1, even though I still really enjoyed Season 1. I think Season 2 did improve on a lot of things. We had some really great episodes this season, just like last season, but I think the quality of Season 2 was definitely a lot more consistent. So yeah, really have enjoyed the season a lot, and I'm excited to get into Season 3 when we get to that. Yeah, 2 down, 3 to go. Very, very exciting. It's always a nice accomplishment finishing off a season, and I think they did it in a pretty solid way, so that's always good. I'd hate to be let down by a finale, so I'm glad that wasn't the case. And yeah, so in terms of like the next couple of cycles, obviously this is the second of 3 in this cycle, so the next video will be the Buffy Season 5 review, and that's going to count as kind of part of this cycle. Next cycle will be the Angel Season 2 review, and then I think we start with Season 3 of Angel. I think it's the first 2 of Angel Season 3 will be the next ones, and then we start Buffy Season 6. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where we're going to go with Season 3. And as always, thank you for your support on my Angel Season 2 reactions. I mean, we're coming up to a year since I started. In April it will be 1 year since I started Angel. So I feel like we've gotten through a decent amount in the time, and I'm excited to see what the future's going to hold as we get into Season 3. But they definitely found their stride, I think, with Season 2, so I'm excited to see where we go from here. Should be quite something. And also, don't forget, if you want to help out with the review, there are posts on my community tab on my channel to kind of list your favourite episodes for Angel, and I kind of use those to help out in my review. So be sure to do that if you haven't already. There's also a post for Buffy Season 5. And yeah, that's another kind of complete cycle done, a complete chapter of the Buffyverse. And yeah, I'm glad I got to end it with a pretty fun finale. So yeah, thank you so much for all your support as always, and until the review, or if not, if you don't watch those, until the next reaction, thanks for watching.